Beyond bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises. It just had to be. Dax corner, he goes, glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season.
Hello Rovers fans and good afternoon and welcome to another Sofa Chat. I'm buzzing to be back. I wasn't here for the Luton game. I got secretly jealous. So yeah, we are back. Rovers Chat for a Sofa Chat, ready for the Rovers home game against Cardiff this afternoon, which don't know about you two, but I'm feeling a little bit nervous about. So we'll see how we get on. But Dan, you had a good week, mate? Good week?
Yeah, it's been good. I've been looking forward to it, really. It's kind of the highlight of the week, getting for the win.
It sure is. It sure is. And Luke, you had a good week, mate? How are you doing?
Not too bad, really. Yeah, been on a few little excursions out. Nice little trek up Pendle Steps. Pendle Steps for all the locals. So yeah, that tired me out a little bit, but no, it's been all right. Yeah, steady away at work, and like Dan said, you look forward to the footy, don't you?
You do, yeah. It's been a busy week for me as well. So the football is definitely where you get the chance to just forget about life a little bit, don't you? So looking forward to today, as much as I am a little bit nervous about that Cardiff height that they've got, which we'll talk about in a little while. Rovers fans tuning in, thanks for tuning in as you always do. Thank you for your support. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a big like, and Super Chat is available as it always is for us. We are sponsored by Blue Rose Capital and SitShardsOut.com. Thank you to our very kind sponsors, as always. And I can see in the comments, hello to Sean, hello to Michael, and hello to Dizzy down under, as always. Thanks for joining us, guys. We love the support on the show. So the first thing that we will start with today is a little bit of On the Road Again. So I'm going to cheat a little bit with On the Road Again and actually talk about a game that wasn't on the road. It was on the road for me, but it wasn't for you two. Because we've had two games since the last Sofa Chat. We had Hull at home and Barnsley away. And I just want to start with the Hull game because that was an interesting game for me. Luke, maybe I'll start with you first. A proverbial game of two halves for Rovers. You know, really struggled in that first half to break down Hull. Or in fact, we didn't really get out of our own half, if truth be told. You know, we just struggled against the hard-working nature of Hull. Didn't really exploit the counter-attack, didn't really get in behind them. But second half, you have to say, it was the emergence of Reda Kadra. Danny Butterworth made a great impact as well, and Rovers were full value for that win. So I don't really want to talk about the game too much because we've done that. Maybe Kadra and Butterworth and the fact that, you know, when games are sliding a little bit away from us, we've got players on the bench, even though it feels like we've got a small squad, we've got players on the bench now, haven't we, that can make an impact.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were talking about. I think with the transfer window, and a lot of people were quite pessimistic following the transfer window. Maybe people saying that actually, you know, Mowbray got it wrong, missed out on some signings. We can talk about the Josh Maggio one all we want, but the reality of it is where we are now. And actually, like you say, we've got some options. I think it's pretty exciting. We spoke about it, in fact, at the Hull game. You know, in that first half, looking at the bench and thinking, "Wow, how do we change this?" We were worried, but Reda Kadra came on and absolutely phenomenal. And I said it in the post match on the Hull game. If that's a player that's not fully fit, what can we actually get out of that boy? He's a really exciting talent. Phenomenal feet, really quick with a ball, quick off the ball, intelligent. He's always looking up, looking to be direct, as you said, looking to break in between the lines, and he gets shots away as well. Really exciting one for me, that, and I think he'll do great in Rovers colours. And you know, when he's fit, he's going to be, you know, difficult for Mowbray to say that he can't start games. But off the bench, yeah, real impact.
Dan, I'm just going to pick up Graham's question here, actually. Graham Hamilton, you know, what does Butterworth have to do to earn a start? He looks to make a good impact every time he comes on. I'm just going to add something into that. At one point in that second half against Hull in particular, we had Rothwell, Dolan, Brio, Cadra and Butterworth all on the pitch at the same time, which is quite exciting. So does Butterworth just have to be patient, keep doing what he's doing, because he's got some good players in front of him, inverted commas, at the moment. Actually, if he keeps just doing what he's doing, the moment one of these players doesn't contribute, he has to take his chance, doesn't he? So what's your view on Butterworth and Graham's question?
Well, I think we've seen it with a lot of players, haven't we? We saw Harry Chapman impressed quite a while in League One, didn't get a start. Even Lewis Travis, before that Sheffield United game, coming off the bench and impressing that season. I think with Mowbray, you know, he's going to give players time. He's just going to hold out. You think when Brereton has to quarantine for at least the Coventry match, he's got a good chance of starting there, because Brereton's a guaranteed starter. So you know someone's in that place. And I think it's just waiting, just a waiting game. And then take your chance when it comes. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you look at Marcus Rashford and how he broke into the United side, and that is the reality. What Don says, you get your chance, you've got to take your chance, and Butterworth's just got to keep chipping away like that.
And it's only going to be a positive on the likes of Sam Gallagher, on Ben Brio, sorry. You know, them two are the kind of the main two, and Dolan in some degree as well. You know, if these players are knocking on the door, Cadra, Butterworth, Paveda, hopefully.
Stop shaking me sofa, man.
It's all right. if these players are knocking on the door and putting pressure on, it's good for that squad depth, isn't it? So Dan, the other game I want to come on to is the Barnsley game. That was last week, so really enjoyable 0-0 for me. Like, the away fans were brilliant. It was nice and sunny. Good, you know, performance from Rovers, particularly defensively. I just want to focus on two elements. So there was a solid back six for me. So what I'm saying there is Kaminsky, the back four of Nyambi, Pickering, Ayala, Lenihan, and Lewis Travis, who I thought had his best game of the season. So when we talk about teams that either get promoted or do well in this division, they usually name, in particular in defence, the same settled side, the same consistent side. So we're starting to see the benefits of that those six are picking themselves every week at the moment, aren't they?
I think that's it. I think we're seeing consistency. We've all been on Mowbray for his amount of changes every game in past season. Now he's sticking with the same side, albeit slightly unfocused. But as long as we're sticking the same side, we're winning games. We're picking up points. One loss all season. And I think it's only Nyambe out the back four, and the keeper has not played every game. We're seeing the results. One loss in 8, you can't complain no matter.
You talk about that one loss as well, and all right, in the first half we got absolutely mullered. But in the second half, then we come out fighting, and we looked like we could. I actually came away fairly disappointed, thinking, we could have picked some up there. We were unlucky. We turned the corner.
And it is a turnaround, isn't it? Because if you think back to last season, I think we had an embarrassment of riches, particularly in midfield and in attack. It felt like we were quite well stocked in that area. But at the back, we felt quite light, and we ended up having a few makeshift defensive last season. But this season, completely different. We've got that same settled back six. As I say, those 6 players are in there, and it's kind of allowing the others to go and do their thing. So
you mentioned light. This is an Evian.
I like that. That's good. I've misspelled it here and hearing that. Lou, the other thing I do want to just say in that game, though, we've already spoken about Cadra. Paveda took a lot of stick last week for his performance. It wasn't the best performance. Didn't have the best half, and I think Mowbray, for me, just was too late with that substitution. I think Paveda should have been hooked at half-time and then bring Cadra on then. Actually, Cadra made the game's 2 biggest chances, or Rovers' 2 biggest chances, in that game. The one for Brio in that second half where it's touch and finish, and then the other one where Leighton Clarkson at the end, might have done better with his finish. So Mowbray has got it on the whole right with his subs this season, hasn't he? But do you think he just needs to, he's got loyalty to players and loyalty to the Premier League clubs who were loaning players from, maybe there was just something in the Leeds agreement that Poveda has to play so much. Do you think he just needs to be a bit bolder, that if someone isn't playing well, just hook them despite what the agreement is, you know?
I think that's man management and game management as well. I think we can be critical. Game management was clear to see in the Luton game, going back a few games, and now we're just seeing some man management. I think with loan players, young players, and even seasoned pros, as a manager, I think there's certain times where you have got to hook players for their own protection. You know, Poveda, albeit he's been around a little while now, but he's a young boy. He's not played a lot of minutes at senior level, and it won't do his confidence any good if you're having a shocker. Sometimes you just need to get yourself out of the firing line, and unfortunately that wasn't the case, and he's coming for a lot of criticism, and it's only going to affect his confidence. So fingers crossed it doesn't, and he kicks on a little bit after this, because he had a great game at Middlesbrough, so it's a real shame for the boy. But you know, it's football. People have bad games. People have bad days. They're only human.
Absolutely, and I thought that some of the stick that he did take last week was a bit unfair. You know,
he is Chris Ayres.
He is a young lad, but it was a bit from the stands mainly. I wasn't talking onto it in the stands. I thought it was a bit harsh. You know, we all agreed he should have come off at half time, but there's just a way of kind of airing your criticism, isn't there, when you're in the stands? And as you point out, the Middlesbrough game, he was really good. He looked really good. He just had a bad day at the office last week. So they were the games just gone then. So let's move on to this week's game. Obviously, the Cardiff game today, and it's my big question. I'm chuckling because what you didn't see whilst that was playing was Luke was like, so that was funny. So my big question today. So we've spoken about Mowbray and the subs. And something that Mowbray, I think, has probably always done in his time at Rovers is potentially respect the opposition too much with some of the stuff that he's done. There's been times over the last 3 or 4 years where I'm like, no, we've got the better players. Play how we're going to play. Stop worrying about the opposition.
Happened a lot last season.
However, I'm going to give him a free pass today because I am nervous about those 3 big lads that they've got in particular: Aidan Flint, Sean Morrison, Kiefer Moore. So he's got a free pass for me to match up if he wants to. So that is...
I can't listen to you say Aidan Flint without thinking of Swansea Reece going, Aidan Flint, you scrub.
So my big question is, should Rovers match up to Cardiff today and bring Hayden Carter into a back 3 with wing backs? Obviously start Sam Gallagher as well, so that aerially and physically we can just match them up. Or should we just play our own game and play Kadra, play Dolan, play our tricky players and try and hurt them that way? So Dan, I'm going to go for you. What are you saying? What should he do today?
I think I would start Gallagher, but I wouldn't go to a back 5. I'm not a fan of it at all. I know we got the players, and maybe JRC suits that wing back more than Nyambe, and he's not free. I don't like the back 5. It's just not for me. I think you invite
not
pressure
on.
on.
Not for me.
I think you invite the pressure onto you. And then when you're inviting that pressure, it's going to tell in the end. I'd match them as in Gallagher going for the height that way, but I wouldn't defensively.
Yeah.
I'd just stick as we are. It's worked.
And would you start Kadra today? You know, Sam Gallagher's coming back. You know, Kadra for Dolan, or would Dolan probably deserves to keep his place, doesn't he? So Kadra's still going to be the bench.
Yeah, I think if it's your front 3, I think Gallagher, Diaz, Dolan, it has to be for me.
Yeah. So Dan's saying he's sticking with the 4-3-3 and not matching up. Rovers fans in the comments, let us know what you would do today. Are you matching up against that aerial threat? And we'll show some graphics and stats in a moment. Luke, what are you doing today if you're Mowbray?
I think we can hurt them in attacking positions, and we go ahead. And if we play on the front foot, you know, get a goal and try not to worry about their attacking threats. Got to look at Iola and how immense he's been. He's been colossal this season, winning every header. I mean, he scored that goal in the whole game. It was phenomenal there. Won everything. So I've got every confidence that if he matches up against Kiefer Moore and he has a game like that, I think we're pretty comfortable. He's an experienced pro and a very, very good centre half. And unfortunately, with injuries, we've missed out on a lot of that, and we're starting to reap the rewards of a big contract and a lot of faith installed in Daniel Iola. So I think we've got Iola and obviously Lenihan as well. We've got enough to cope with it, but I think it's set pieces where we've just got be a little bit head smart, keep his head screwed on. You know, like you say, Aidan Flint as a centre half, he's coming in and getting goals, so we just need to be a bit aware of that. And I'm sure Mowbray's going to be drumming that into the side as to not switch off on set pieces.
So you're sticking with 4-3-3 as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sticking.
Like the Rovers. Well, for the win.
So we'll just present a couple of things that I did on the other side last night, just to give you an indication of the threat that Cardiff are going to be. So the first one we've got is just them aerially compared to the rest of the Championship. So you can see Cardiff there. That's the aerial duels that they've won. It's over 40 that they've won this season, and you can see how they compare to West Brom, a side who we've already mentioned. And then obviously Millwall, Bristol City and Preston in there. So they are definitely a threat in the air, and more Flint and Morrison there on the graphic. And then Luke was just talking about Daniel Ayala. Here's how Daniel Ayala compares to Aidan Flint we've picked out here. We covered this on the other side last night as well, but you can see that Ayala pretty much matches up with Aidan Flint in terms of his aerial success. Very good on clearances, Daniel Ayala. Couple of goals as well. Flint's probably a bit of an outlier at the moment in terms of goals, because he's matching strikers in terms of goals, and Ayala getting his tackles in there as well. So Daniel Ayala certainly matching up to, you know, Cardiff. And one thing I'll say, Kiefer Moore, Sean Morrison and Aidan Flint are in the top 10 players for aerial duels won this season. The other man who's in the top 10 as well, Sam Gallagher.
Really?
Sam Gallagher in the top 10. So Sam Gallagher might be a very important player for us aerially. So what will I do? I agree. I think we've got to stick. I think we've got to try and hurt them. Tom was saying it last night on the other side. I think we've got to stick to our guns, not respect them too much. And I think if we stick to that formation, that 4-3-3, we can rotate between Dolan, Cadra, Brio.
I like that fluidity. I think that's what Liverpool had a lot of success with when they won the Prem. It's important, I think. If you're too fixed and you're too respectful of the opposition, you just leave yourself open, like Dan said, to get in it.
But I'm going to be intrigued by one thing, and that is if we don't match up, I just can't see how Daniel Ayala retains his free kind of thing on set pieces. When you have got Kiefer Moore, Morrison and Flint all in that box, Ayala's obviously been a free man on set pieces this season. I can't see how he does that in this game. I don't want them 3-3 relying on Daniel Ayala to try and win it in an area. I think he might have to mark one of them today, and I do just wonder if that'll affect us on those set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, they're very good. You don't underestimate how good they are aerially, but it's sometimes just being a bit head smart. Just don't give them a yard. And with the likes of, you know, you've brought it up with Gallagher there as well. You've got defensive capabilities to cope if we're clever and if we're not, you know, a bit lackadaisical.
But he's got a free pass, Mowbray. If he does change it today, I'm not going to be too angry about it, because that West Brom game at home, I do think we look quite small. We sit behind the goal in the Blackburn end quite close. You're a bit higher up. But when we were looking at those corners against West Brom, we looked small in comparison to like Kyle Bartley and other players like that.
They've got players that are furlong.
Oh, Luke, we're going to move on after that. So, but Michael, I'm going to bring Michael's comment in. I think this sums it up really nicely. You know, worried that if we do match up, it could stifle our own game. We're at home and we have to grab the initiative. And that's absolutely right, Michael. But I can understand if Mowbray does do it today, because Will Volks's long throw, we're probably going to see one in the first minute. I'm going to be bricking it as soon as that's thrown in. Then the first corner, I'm going to be doubly bricking it. So we'll see.
Could be a smelly game for me.
It is. So let's move on and let's see where Mr. Ward is this week. So Gavin Ward is at Swansea versus Huddersfield today. So I don't know what to make of that. It's not really a controversial game, isn't it?
No, it's unless he's gone overseas.
Yes, he's gone abroad.
Not quite overseas, but you know what I mean.
But I didn't see how he did last week, because
terrible.
He got relegated into League One last week. He did Portsmouth against Cambridge, I think it was, or something daft. But on a serious note, I want to focus on our ref. For us, we've got Keith Stroud. So for those of you that don't know Keith Stroud, he is the referee that kissed the ball. I don't know if you've seen the Celebrity Ref's Twitter account. As he was walking out of the tunnel at Craven Cottage, there was a ball on the plinth and he blew a kiss to the ball and then picked it up. So he's a celebrity ref, definitely. And
Complete clown.
yes, he is. And I'm a bit anxious about Keith Stroud, because if there isn't a bit of like barging in the box from a long throw or stuff going on, he's going to give stuff in. So are you nervous that it's Keith Stroud today?
I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest.
No.
Hey, if he takes an eye off it, we can call him Kev.
Oh, Luke, you're cracking me up, man. Cracking me up. But are you nervous about Stroudy today?
I'll tell you what, let's talk referees. Well, we'll talk about referees in Penrith, but yes, I'm nervous.
Well, we might as well do Penrith, so here we go. Let's carry on the conversation then.
Bloody Luton game, man.
The Luton one.
My God, we haven't done a sofa chat since Luton, have we? That was outrageous. That refereeing performance is one of the most comical, embarrassing, laughable. There's not enough words to just. It was just atrocious. As soon as he didn't send Lenihan off, he just set a precedent for the game. It was outrageous, really, to watch. Was it 9 bookings, 10 bookings? And how there wasn't a sending off in that game. And then just to top it off, you've got him going down with cramp in final game. Come on, man, give it a rest. But no, I haven't seen it back, and people might hammer me for this comment. I think someone did question this comment on one of the post-match reaction for that game. But for me, when I saw it live in person, the Dolan one looked nailed on for a penalty. Yeah. I can't fathom how you're running at that pace. It's tricky. You stick a leg out. Any contact's a pen for me. So I think we missed out on one there, and it just seems to be Luton that are always in and amongst it with that. The Henry Lansbury.
Oh my days!
I mean, he's put the guy 4 foot up in the air and got a booking for it off the ball. So. Little cameo for Luton there, but
is it a coincidence though? Because Nathan Jones, with the Luton, so when Lenihan didn't get sent off, I remember exchanging a few tweets with people saying Nathan Jones's post-match interview is going to be brilliant because Lenihan should have been sent off, and then we went 2-0 up, and then obviously had we won the game, you can just instantly see Nathan Jones is going to go mental. So is it a coincidence that these things are happening in games involving Luton? Is he constantly berating the fourth official? Is he getting a reputation amongst them? I don't think it's a coincidence, because the Lansbury thing, and then the penalty they got last week against Swansea as well, it does put pressure on refs, doesn't it?
It's all very contentious, and he's just hard work, and he's exactly what you don't want on a touchline, what you wouldn't want to play against. You're a difficult character, and someone that you'd prefer in your dugout, I think.
I think so. And that I think that's where we're weak, when we think about teams and clubs and players that master those arts really well, and they're in the ref's ears, or players on the pitch kind of doing that kind of, the dark arts of the game, if you want to call it that. I don't think our manager and many of our players really do that. And I think the closest we've got is Lewis Travis on his day and Bradley Dack. Yeah. I don't see much of that from us, really.
I think we're too nice, but I think we've seen a different side of Rovers this season, because, we're too nice, but we never had fight, we never had grit, we never looked like we wanted to die for the cause, but we're seeing that a little bit more now, and I think, the other side, the dark arts, as you call it, that'll come if we're putting us foot in like we are. And I think we saw it a little bit in the Luton game, where we were actually rising to it a little bit without getting dragged into it too much, but giving a little bit back, and I like that.
So one thing I should have said at the very start, but this is a nice segue into the final segment of the show, is even though the ticker might have you believe otherwise, because it says Ryan, Luke and Joe, a Preva in Sofa Chat, I can confirm this is Dan and not Joe. Joe's obviously, we're delighted for Joe with the work he's going to be doing with Hearts and everything there, so he can't make it today. But we do have Joe here in spirit, because he's reminding us that...
Guys, there's a game on!
There he is, Joe Harvey.
Guys,
Shout out
there's a game on.
You're gonna have to re-record that. So that's enough chatting about refs and Keith Stroud and Luton Town and things like that. Let's move our focus onto today's game. I just want to stick with the defensive unit. We've spoken about Ayala. We've spoken about just the grit and determination on Rovers this season. But I want to come back to a player that we did talk about a few weeks ago on this show, Harry Pickering. So Dan, I'm going to come to you first. I think it's fair to say probably didn't have the most explosive start to his Rovers career. I think all of the clips that we saw of him, he's more of an attacking left back, and maybe that's what we were looking for. But I think the thing that's gone under the radar with Pickering is defensively, he's been really good this season, hasn't he? Particularly the last few games. So do you think he's not getting the credit he deserves for the role he's playing at left back? You know, how impressed have you been?
I've been really impressed. I think, like we say, he wasn't what we expected at the start, but he's really grown into it. He looks more than capable at this level. I think it's nice that we seem to have finally got that position nailed down. I know we had Cunningham, obviously, the injuries, but it's a permanent player who's 4 years, 5 years here, contract-wise anyway. We've got that position nailed down now. We've got that. You know, every week he's going to be on the team sheet. Even though we signed him, he'll be a centre mid all season. I think it's nice to have that solid player. We know every week's going to... He won't have a 9 out of 10 every week, but he'll have a 7 out of 10, and I think that's key for Rovers. Really key. And
we spoke about it, didn't we, Luke? That there were games where we were just begging for him to get forward. The Ewood games that me and you have been at, I remember the Middlesbrough game, there was some spaces that he could push into and he wasn't. But actually, have you kind of tweaked your expectations of Pickering now and maybe just accept that he might just need to develop that attacking side of his game as he adjusts to Rovers? And actually, first and foremost, he's a left back. He should be able to defend. So have you kind of tweaked what you think about him?
I mean, Ronnie would be very proud.
He would.
He's Harry Pickering in his own right, isn't he? We were critical of him to a point, but not.
We weren't bad-mouthing him. We were expecting more of him.
Just wanting him to do a bit more. But as a new player coming into a new side, at a new level, it's always going to be tough for him. But I think the fact that we're not worrying about the left-back position and the fact that we're now, like Dan said, that position picks itself. Harry Pickering, is probably behind Kaminsky and Lenny and one of the first names on the team sheet. And for me, I think that speaks volumes because you just know what you're going to get now at left back, and that was always a position where we were so worried about it. That's where you knew trouble was going to happen. You'd be doing on the other sides and telling you, X, Y, and Z that our weakness is down that flank, and it's just not now. And the fact that we can have this, call it criticism, call it expectation of Harry Pickering, I think speaks volumes of the performances that he is putting in defensively, and that we know that actually you're more than happy with him getting forward because you know that he's going to get back and put a shift in and do his work defensively as well. And we've never had the best of both worlds, and we've certainly, for many a season now, not had the best of either world. So Harry Pickering's really an asset now to this side, and I think it speaks volumes that we're performing well, and Harry Pickering's in this side. I think that's no coincidence.
Definitely, and I just hope that he does more of what he did against Luton, just finds that confidence to get really high up the pitch. That's a left back who's scoring a goal from 10 yards and finishing it like a striker. So I hope he finds more confidence to do that.
I think that's how he likes to do as well, just cutting it across the keeper like that.
Yeah. So hopefully he brings that in. But yeah, defensively he's been brilliant, and again last week at Barnsley he was fantastic. So really pleased with Pickering. Fantastic, and hopefully he sticks around for a number of years and left back's no longer a problem position, but we'll see. The other player I want to talk about, Dan, I'll come to you, and Steve's, I'm going to weave Steve's comment in here about Paveda. Weave Steve. I'm going to weave that comment in. So Sam Gallagher, for me, is going to be critical to this game. He's going to be important in both boxes, both winning headers from corners and things that we're defending, and then offering an outlet for us physically as well. And obviously the stats that we had earlier, top 10 in the league for aerial duels. Yeah, really good, really, really good. But Steve makes a really fair point. How, if there is some form of agreement with Clarkson and Paveda and Leeds and Liverpool, is there a conundrum for Mowbray today? You know, if he wants Gallagher in the side, but Poveda or Clarkson have to play because Liverpool and Leeds are saying, so how does he get Gallagher in? Does it mean John Buckley then has to go on the bench? You know, is this what Steve said potentially a problem? Because if you need Sam Gallagher, someone else is going to have to suffer. And I actually think that's harsh on John Buckley if that was to happen.
I agree. I think, obviously, if you have Gallagher in on the left and you're putting Clarkson in the team, you either lose Dolan or Buckley, two players who probably don't deserve to be out the team.
No.
Then if you've got to play Poveda as well, that means you're probably taking Buckley and Dolan out because we're never going to drop Brereton. Like, not a chance this season. Do you think it's going to stifle our own players a little bit, but we need these players in the team? Or we're stuck with numbers, aren't we? It's a real conundrum for Mowbray. And I think it's got to get to the stage where, when he was talking about contracts during the week and we've got the season replaced, does Joe Rothwell play that many games after January if we know he's going to be off in the summer? Do we have to sacrifice him and say, no, Buckley has to play this place? Or, you know, with every position, it's, do we have to look forward and think, yes, we might lose a few more games because we've not got these players, but they're not ours come the summer, and we've got to prioritise Buckley, Dolan. I think that's your issue with it.
And Bucko, for me, this season's really broken through. And I was talking to Tom last night on the other side, Luke, where we focused on Marlon Pack. So Marlon Pack, when he was at Bristol City and now at Cardiff, he's kind of one of those no-frills players. It doesn't get the plaudits because you've got other players like Aidan Flint and Kiefer Moore who are getting all of the headlines. And same at Rovers. You know, we've got Rothwell and Dolan and Brereton who get all the headlines. Marlon Pack and John Buckley, for me, are both exactly the same type of player. Very neat and tidy on the ball. Technically great players. Important for doing the ugly side of the game that no one really sees. And Bucko, for me, I think it'd be really harsh if he finds his game time limited because of agreements with other clubs and things like that. So I hope that that's not going to be the case. But, you know, is he important for you as well, Bucko?
Absolutely. On and off the pitch. You're speaking about how he's broke through. He's broke through on the pitch. Of course he has. I mean, credit to Joe to some of the stats that he put up on Buckley and how he defended Buckley so heavily. With some of the criticism that he got last season, and really showed Rovers fans around the globe really of what Buckley does for this team. We're starting to really see that now. I think it can't be ignored. And like I said, on top of that, he's doing so much work off the pitch to just get the fans involved a little bit more and bring the fans closer to Blackburn Rovers. We've seen that disconnect, we've seen discontent throughout the Rovers fan base, and I think Bucko's now a big part of us reconnecting with the club and that sort of David Dunn figure that you know is going to give 110%, and you know is going to love the club on and off.
And when you're talking about consistency of selection, you know, we focused on the back six. Actually, I think that this Rovers side, at least 10 out of the 11 pick themselves now. I think the one that changes, and some of the fans obviously disagree with Sam Gallagher starting, I think the one position where there's a question mark is it Dolan, is it Gallagher, is it Poveda, is it Cadra, whatever.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, I think it's almost that attack, how you
do the attack.
Yeah, sort of that fluidity in the attack of how you're going to sort of tweak it for certain opposition.
But the three in midfield, Rothwell, Travis, Bucko, you know, those three pick themselves as well. Yeah, so, like, the whole Leighton Clarkson thing, I know he's a Rovers fan. I know we might have agreements with Liverpool and things like that. You know, I don't want us disrupting the side and disrupting that consistency and that rhythm. And, you know, when we did make these loan signings, it was picked up, wasn't it, that by making these loan signings, do you block your own? And, you know, to play Poveda and Clarkson, you're not playing Bucko and Dolan. It's such a conundrum.
There's certain games, I think, that Clarkson, given his passing, and his ability to see a pass through the channels, if you're playing, you know, particularly flat side, I don't know, like a Millwall or something, and they're just going to set up in two banks of four, and you just need to, you know, break the lines a little bit, then Clarkson's a great player to have in your armoury. But like I say, having a settled side gets you promoted. I'm not saying that don't hold me to us getting promoted here, but that's how Burnley did it, and we say that all the time. And unfortunately, as Rovers fans, you've got to look at that, and that is the model. That's how they do it.
So I think the three of us have agreed the 4-3-3 and what we want. I really hope we have the direct run in from Rovers today. If I think Dolan, Rothwell, Brio, Cadra and Butterworth off the bench, that's where I want us to hurt Cardiff today. And I hope that that's the formation and the way that we play. Yeah, definitely. And I hope that we see them. Rovers fans, if there's anything that we've discussed about the game and how we should approach it and who should play and who shouldn't, do let us know in the comments. But for me, I'd be keeping the same 11. Just bring Gallagher in for that aerial. So swap Gallagher for Poveda, same side as last week against Barnsley. That's the side that starts for me. And you know that you've got Cadra coming off the bench. You know you've got Butterworth coming off the bench. Clarkson might come on and just, take advantage of some of the spaces and some of the tiredness. So for me, that's what I would be doing. But let us know if you disagree with that in the comments. So yeah, we'll start moving towards kind of predictions and how we think the game's going to go. How are you feeling about it? We've chewed it over. We've convinced ourselves that we're not going to match them up. We're going to stick with 4-3-3. Are you feeling any more confident than when you first woke up?
I'll predict us to win. I just think there's something about this team that they win the games you're not expecting. I think you just look at what we've done this season so far. Swansea at home, I know they had a new manager, but a lot of people were very negative about that game, thinking, right, we got to Borough again, we show the fight. There's something about us that just makes me think we'll win today. I think that extra bit of fight, we might get beat in the air a bit, but we've just got something, this team. They're different to what we're
looking for a win. What are you thinking? Are you feeling more confident?
I feel like it'll be a tight game. I feel like it's always a game that they make difficult, but I think we have the quality. And you look at when we, Adam Armstrong with the goal he scored against Cardiff. I think sometimes against Cardiff it just needs that. It just needs that moment of quality.
Yeah.
Being that little bit cute and not getting dragged into it, because if you do get dragged into an aerial battle, it's ultimately one that will win. Just try and keep the ball on the deck, do what we do, and like Dan said, we've got fight, we've got grit, and we're playing at home, and we've so far done pretty well at home. But for the minor blip on the record at the moment is West Brom. But you look at the fixtures as a whole, and they're two fixtures that Eddie Rovers felt at the start of the season writing them off as, we're not getting anything from them. So if you're looking at your points over the course of the season, West Brom's fine, and the rest of the 7 games we've really picked points up where a lot of fans weren't expecting it. So yeah, I think we can get something from this one.
I definitely think we can win. I'm still just feeling a little bit anxious. I still think it's one too many big lads in that box, and I said it on the kind of match day experience video that I did before I left the house this morning, and I've been saying it that West Brom look big, and I think Cardiff are going to look big, and I just think it's going to be one too many. So I'm still thinking a draw for me. I'm thinking a 1-1 draw. I think we're going to get pegged back a bit. I think those long throws are going to cause a bit of early chaos, and we might just look a bit panicky at the back. So we'll see. So I'm going 1-1. Rovers fans, let us know what your predictions are. I've noticed a comment from Steve as well, which I'm going to come to in a moment because we've got a little bit of time. So I want to pick up that comment and then just also something else about Rovers and contracts. But I'm saying 1-1. What are you saying?
2-1 Rovers.
2-1 Rovers. I like it, Dan. What are you saying?
You've gone with the same as FM. Happy birthday to your daughter as well, Danny.
Happy birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday to your daughter, Danny.
2-0 for me. I think we keep them out. I think we, like I said, be clever, be cute, and just be aware of it. Because if you do that and you understand what Cardiff are all about, it's very easy to stifle them and just don't get dragged into that aerial battle so much. But it'll be very difficult on set pieces, and we just need to rely quite heavily on Ayala today, I think.
It's a huge game for Ayala. If he does retain that free role as well, he's got to be winning stuff in the air. And I just hope that the likes of Morrison and others aren't just ghosting at a back stick and planting themselves on Pickering or Nyambi or someone who's not as strong in the air. So that's what makes me a bit nervous. But 2 wins and a draw on the panel. Actually, this game is one of 3 in a week. Obviously, Huddersfield on Tuesday and Blackpool next week. If we were to get 7 points this week, getting that run before the international break, that would likely still see Rovers in the top 6 and probably comfortably in the top 6 as well. what a brilliant start that would be if we did get 7 points. So little incentive for Rovers today to get 7 points from this week, isn't it?
Next week Blackpool's going to be blue and white. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you look at Huddersfield as well. They've started well, and we've not got the best record at Huddersfield.
No.
I can't remember us winning.
Huddersfield.
Went that 4-1 when Rhodes got an hat-trick.
Rhodes' hat-trick,
Probably
yeah.
the last time.
Yeah, that is probably the last one. So, yeah, if we can win today and take the pressure off the Huddersfield game, you know, maybe if we win today, draw with Huddersfield, beat Blackpool, you know, that would be a good kind of... Yeah, we would be laughing, definitely. So, let's look at the predictions that we've had. Was there anyone further up, Dan? Yeah, FM went for a 2-1 Rovers win, and happy birthday to your little girl there, FM. Jack goes 1-0 Rovers, Michael 2-1 Rovers, Steve 1-1, and Sean Nervy 1-0 Rovers. Hopefully no nail biting. There's going to be nail biting, Sean. You're going to be nail biting 30 seconds into the game when Will Vaulks is slinging one in from the halfway line. So you're definitely going to be biting those nails. So that's it in terms of the game. But two things, as I say, that I did want to focus on just whilst we've got a little bit of time left on the show. So contracts is what I want to focus on first. Steve Waggett did an interview with Andy Bays at BBC Lancashire, this week, talking about contracts, talking about the potential, what did he call it? A Mexican standoff, I think is what he described it as. Basically signalling to us as Rovers fans, we are not going to keep those 4 players that are out of contract or at risk of being out of contract. Ben Brio, Darragh Lenihan, Joe Rothwell, Ryan Iambi. So we are probably going to have to accept that from what he said, I think we're going to lose at least 2. We've had this type of discussion before. Now it's probably in the crosshairs, Luke, that the club have gone to where they can go in terms of offers. Who are the 2 that you're keeping and trying to just make stay at this club in any way, shape or form? I know it's difficult, but the writing's on the wall for me now.
I've been wanting to... For me, I want to tie down Brio. I think that one's so important.
Yeah.
I think the friendship with Bradley Dack is an important one that we forget. It's a big dynamic that on the pitch now, while Brio's performing, and we've got this sort of Diaz factor about it. I think when Bradley Dack comes back into that, you're going to get a little bit of a sort of Dack Graham thing. You're going to see that chemistry on the pitch. We've not had the opportunity to see that with a new, rejuvenated, newly named Brereton Diaz. So I think when Dacky comes back in, that's a big thing, and obviously the Chilean thing, the support that we're getting elsewhere, Rovers being on the map, it's crucial economically for the club, and everything else that comes with that. We've got to tie him down, and Darragh Lenihan just speaks for itself. That one, he's a club captain, and if we don't get him tied down on a long-term contract, it's a real sad state of affairs because he's come through the ranks. He's now club captain, and he's almost underrated as a Rovers player because we just expect it from him now. He's just that reliable and that good, really. Like Dan was talking about, 7 out of 10s every week, and that's what he gives you. You get the odd 8 and 9, but he's always a 7. Always a 7.
Yeah. They're the 2 that I'd want to keep as well. I've said before that if Lenihan was to go, for me, it would be quite emotional, actually, because I think he's been around for a long time. He's been a very loyal servant. And that one would hurt me more, I think, than some of the others, actually, if Darragh was to go on a free. And actually, on a footballing sense, as much as we highly rate Scott Wharton and Hayden Carter, and they've come through the academy and things, if we are lining up next season with Wharton and Carter as the centre-backs, who knows what's going to happen with Ayala and injuries. I still think that looks a bit light for me, them 2 as a championship pairing. So Darragh for me, absolutely, and exactly the same as Ben Brio. Are they the 2 for you?
I think you look at Amber, I think you can afford to lose him. Obviously, I'd like to keep him, but you've got JRC to step up with.
Dan Pike.
A lot of hype about Dan Pike. And Raphael's the same. I think I worry when you look at a Rovers team and you don't see Lenihan in it. I think that's a big worry for me. If you see him missing and you're playing Bradley Johnson at centre back like we have done in the past.
So that's where we saw it last season. That's where we really fell apart when we started having ourselves at centre half pair, and it was massive. It
worries me massively when you don't see Lenihan in that team. It worries me now when you don't see Brereton in the team. Whereas when I don't see Raphael and Amber, although I'd like them to start it, I'm a bit more, yeah, but he can do that role. Another player can do that role. I don't think you'll have someone like Lenihan at this club for a while.
Yeah, no, I agree. Rovers fans, let us know what you think in the comments. Just to offer a couple of counter views, just against our own views, really, I guess. Nyambe has been part of that solid back six that we spoke about. I think he has absolutely proven his value to this team. So you can make very strong arguments for Nyambe. And Joe Rothwell, who else have we got in this side that can carry the ball like him and get us up the pitch like him, who's our own player? So you can also make arguments for him. But this is difficult now. We can't keep all four of them. And
for me, they're great players, all of them. But just now that I'm reflecting on all four, I'm thinking, where do they go though if they don't leave Rovers? I can't see them making that move into the Premier League and being regular starters. I can't. I just don't see what clubs they'd fit in at. So ultimately, they're going to be going sideways if Rovers have got ambitions to be, chipping away at this top six. So I think a lot of it relies on what we do this season as a club and where our ambitions lie at the end of the season. Obviously, the manager's a big part of that, being out of contract. So it will be interesting to see. I know Waggett's playing it down quite a bit, but if these boys are buying into what Rovers are doing and buying into wearing the shirt, ultimately, it's like, what else are their options?
I think it'll be a sideways move as well. And do you know what? I think we're just going to have to it'll probably annoy fans because it would not surprise me if Nyambe ended up at someone like QPR.
Stoke.
Yeah, and Rothwell ended up at someone like Stoke. That I can fully see, because you're absolutely right. I can't see Premier League clubs certainly putting them in starting 11s in the Premier League, let alone squads.
And I think we spoke about Darren, but I think the only way Darren gets to the Prem now is, 27? 28. The only way he gets to Prem is if Fulham bring him in and then he goes up with Fulham. I don't see him having that step. And I think he's your most likely out of the lot to actually get up there, isn't he?
So just looking at the comments, says Steve, I think the out of contract players need to look at themselves and seriously ask themselves, can I make it at another club? Exactly what we were just saying there, Steve, isn't it? And that other club, who is it? Is it a sideways move, as Luke says? So they absolutely need to look at that, and will they get what they've got at Rovers, which is the tight-knit squad that we most certainly have. And then Michael can see us losing Rothwell, Nyambe, and don't say that, Michael, not all three of them, all to championship sides. Lenihan will stay. I hope so. Brio to a championship side would be interesting. I think if we were to lose him, I could see Spain or somewhere,
I agree.
I think his issue
it's that chilly thing.
If he goes to another championship club, a lot of Rovers fans have backed Brio even before this year. I think a lot have said, give him time. Now he's getting to 22, 23. If he goes and does that at another championship club, say he went to Norwich when Norwich inevitably come down, will Norwich fans stick by him for 2 years? Like when you've got Todd Cantwell or whoever waiting on the sidelines to take his place if he don't perform, do they stick with him like quite a lot of Rovers fans have done?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, you're right. Absolutely. And then Sean, Big Ben and Lenihan to stay. So that would be good if they do. But yeah, I'm resigned to losing two of them just with the way that Waggett was talking, which would be a real shame. So then the other thing, Steve put this in the comments a short while back, Dan. It was about Wickham. There we go. So Steve, thank you for this. So for those of you that haven't followed the news this week, obviously Derby have been deducted 12 points, looking like another 9 points that they'll be deducted as well. Reading kind of at risk of getting a points deduction as well. And, sad to see that happen to clubs. But Steve's question, how would you feel if you were a Wickham fan after Derby have been found out this week? Steve, I'd be absolutely furious. They were robbed of seeing their team in the Championship last season because of the pandemic. So from a fan level, they've not had the opportunity to come to Ewood Park and go to the other stadiums and get that experience. And obviously there was a big kind of rumour at the start of the season with the two fixture lists created, one for Derby, one for Wickham in both divisions. So something was clearly known at that point, particularly by Derby County, about what's happening. I think just the basic disregard for, they are a small club, Wickham. I'm not being unfair when I say that, but the basic disregard by the ownership at Derby for a mainstay of the Football League, a club that has as much right to be in the Championship as any of us, particularly with, how they did to get up there. I think it's bang out of order. So I know that that's not how the real world works. I know that they've tried to milk as much money out of the situation as possible, Derby, to stay off the inevitable. But actually, the key word was it was inevitable.
Yeah.
So that's the bit that, you know, Derby ultimately don't owe Wickham anything, but it does stink. It absolutely stinks. And if I was a Wickham fan, I'd be absolutely gutted about that. And I don't know what happens next, whether Wickham are able to come back into. I don't know. I think they've lost that chance, haven't they?
That's it. And that season they had when they got up from League One, will they do that again? And then if they don't do it again and it's 20, 30 years down the line, it just doesn't seem right. I think, like you say, it was inevitable. We all knew it. We said it. It was said in March or February last year, of last season, and I just think it's almost that they didn't want to punish Derby until they were forced to, because this point deduction's been on them for ages, and it's only when they've gone in administration and it's in the rules that they have to lose points.
Yeah,
that's when it's happened.
Yeah,
it's not happened by an EFL person saying you're having it because you're in the wrong. They've been forced.
Yeah,
and they've been forced into that deduction. That's it.
Yeah,
it's the Sheffield United West Ham thing on steroids, really, isn't it?
It is. Yeah,
I think obviously in that case it's slightly different to a point, but I mean, like you say, you're talking about Wickham and the stature of that club and how massive it was for them to be in the Championship, and actually what they did to stay in the Championship, like phenomenal end to the season. And it really is cruel because, like I say, when you use the word inevitable, and we all knew this was going to happen with Derby, we've all predicted Derby to go down. I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find a follower of the Championship that didn't predict Derby to go down, and that wasn't necessarily because of the playing squad, although that was very light and didn't look great. But I think everyone at the back of their minds knew that something like this was coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of feel hard done by, and really, like I say, it stinks. It stinks of corruption. It stinks of money. And the reality of it is, football is in a real bad situation.
It is, and as Steve puts as the final comment there, you know, I feel sorry for Derby fans, and it's not fair on Wickham. It's a shocker on the fans, isn't it? And I just think for Derby as well, the whole, again, I know it's not as easy because I've got limited information, don't know what's really gone on, but if Derby had just taken all that points hit, relegated into League One, start the League One season on a clean slate and focus on getting back. It means Wickham have got the opportunity to stay in the Championship and enjoy it. It just tastes a lot better, doesn't it?
I mean, again, it's still ain't inevitable in a sense because they're playing this season now, Derby, and the fans will be in rest with the fans. There's going to be a mass exodus of players. There's going to be like a load of unknowns, and ultimately they're going where they could have been now, and they could have been starting that process of rebuilding. Instead, they just delayed the rebuild, and no one's coming out of this good.
No,
really not Wickham, and of course not Derby.
And I think it's helped clubs before, and it's helped us massively. I know Sunderland haven't got a cup, but you see Sunderland now getting 40,000 on sometimes at home games. It's that boost you need sometimes.
Well, we saw it. You know, it felt like a reconnection when we was in League One. So
I'm starting to feel like the clubs like Sunderland and Pompey are now in the process of bouncing back. It's Charlton. They're all now coming on a little bit stronger than they.
That's right.
In the past, even in Wiggins and Bolton's, like football now is. It's like I say, football in general stinks, and when you're seeing clubs going into administration at the rate they are now, I mean, it used to be like, a needle in an haystack. You'd be so rare and such a shock. Now, I mean, I saw that on the news midweek, and I almost just read it and put my phone down. It weren't. I didn't go shouting off to my work colleagues. It was almost like, oh, Derby have been deducted points, and that's sad that we come to that.
It is. We've ended on a really sad note on the show, but we're gonna win. But Steve, it was a great question, and obviously something that Rovers probably do have a little spectre of just behind our shoulders. We're very reliant on our owners, so it was a great question and definitely worth the discussion. But as Luke says, we're going to win, even though I've predicted us to draw. The football is back today, so we're going to end the show at a moment. I've enjoyed Sofa Chat today. Good to be back. I'm feeling positive, ready to get behind the lads and back us as we deal with that first long throw into the box, and I'm like, Luke, save me. But we'll see. But thank you, Rovers fans, for tuning into the show today. Thank you for the brilliant questions and interactions. Really enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a big like for us. If you're not going to Ewood Park, you can join Ollie Walker Peel on the watch along from 2:30. If you are at Ewood Park and you see us, say hello. But if not, enjoy the game. Looking forward to it. And up the Rovers.
This lad loves a draw, but it's dot to dot for Ryan.
See you later. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description.